12:38 p.m. Thursday, March 3rd, 2022. So the Ukraine is for Grifters video actually was uploaded about 2 days before it became available. For some reason, it's still trying to upload private videos on my phone. I think I uploaded something that I was going to need to use for something that I did it with unlisted to be able to time the uploads sequentially so that the link would be available in the description of the video I was uploading. I think it was what happened. Anyways, it's still uploading everything as unlisted videos. So I'm going to upload this and try and remember to change that beforehand and hope that it sticks so that it stops having unlisted videos. So it'd be like hot take, hit stop, send it, upload it, and then you're like, okay, going to bed, and then like see what happens in the morning when it's done uploading, and then it's like 2 days later, you're like, oh crap, I forgot about that video. Oh, it's still unlisted. Nobody's seen it. So understand that Ukraine is for Grifters video came out 2 days earlier than what it's saying on here. Had a lot of people want to talk about or ask about that situation. And there's only so much to talk about. Doesn't mean you can't get rolling and talk a lot. But as far as actual viable information about which to talk, ain't none. So, by now, most of you, if not all of you, should be aware of the fact that pretty much everything coming out of the media, governments, online, all of it, to do with that situation is bunk for the most part. It's either old footage, trolling, or propaganda, or a hybrid combination of all. Popular YouTuber, a guy who has been quite right about a lot of things as well, and has had his popularity squelched a bit by the algorithm as a consequence, was had his face photoshopped onto a picture of a fighter jet, which then one of the Republicans leading the January 6th committee, one of the ones who have been censured by their own party, shared on Twitter a picture of this photoshopped image with the guy's real Ukrainian name, because Sam Hyde is Ukrainian. His full actual name, Samuel Hidwita, whatever, they said that was the brave pilot who was the Ghost of Kiev, which it turns out all the footage of the Ghost of Kiev was from video games. A lot of, like, previous gen video game footage has been released with little flag filter things on top and bottom on TikTok and Twitter and whatever. And even Kit Boga has gotten in on pointing out the scams and the bullshit, the people that are collecting Bitcoin on a looping video. They're boomer traps. You have a video of politicians speaking in a language that you don't presumably speak, and some broken English, please help support our cause, and some barcode QR things for like Bitcoin and like PayPal, like donate here. And they're not the same link locations as the official Ukrainian government or anything. You don't know who it is that you might be sending your money to, but guess what? People are sending their money to it. Another thing that Kit found a couple examples of were supposed live streams that were just looped footage, background sound of air raid sirens and a girl crying, or another one of different locations and girl in the background, voice crying and saying thank you repeatedly while people are just throwing up super chats or whatever, just hemorrhaging money at people that have nothing to do. You don't know who or what you're donating to. Could be legit terror organizations collecting money in this way. And guess what? If you donated money to a terrorist organization, it doesn't matter whether you knew it or not. You're getting prosecuted. That's how that works. So I don't donate money to anything or anyone. personal case by case, in person kind of basis, pretty much. It's the only time I ever do that, and it's very seldom because I basically don't have it to give. So many lies. Nothing is real. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing. Nothing is real. What I'm able to make out about the situation over there is that Russia has made a move on part of Ukraine. I don't know about how much of the country, whether they're going to take the entire country or not. I simply don't have any information. And I came to a realization the other day that most people use visual memory when thinking and recalling. They're thinking about a newspaper ad, a video, a photo, a TV blurb that they saw that is visually in their mind. You're recalling, you think with your eyes a lot. And visually recalling a memory of an image of something is almost indistinguishable to your mind from visually recalling an event that you witnessed. This is how propaganda works. The mental image of the war in Ukraine, for me, doesn't exist because I don't have any actual images from Ukraine of anything. There is a ton of footage that has come out that has turned out to be old footage. Some of it not even in the same country. Just completely random. It's just whatever. People aren't paying attention. The fog of war, the excitement, the seduction of drama, however you want to look at it. People are getting sucked into this whirlpool of bullshit. It's a shitnado. And they're not really looking at what they're looking at to see if what they're looking at is what they think it is. Or if they're just taking what they're being told. More propaganda. It's a thing. This happens. It's natural. If it's happened to you after you thought you'd already woke up, that's cool. Make an admission. Move on. Work on staying awake. That's what I do. I've got to a point now where I basically don't fall for shit. Yeah, sometimes things get through and I'm like, hey, wait a minute. That ain't right. Get back here. It still happens. It's a thing. So I immediately noticed emotional rush in any direction. And very, very quickly, I was like, nope, not reacting. Discussion with the coworker. One of my coworkers is very caught up in the news about the thing. And it's like, I've been there. I get days where I wake up and I want to check and see what new things on the things I've been paying attention to that I had to go to bed because no change. And that's not a healthy cycle. And I work on not being in that cycle, but it still happens. And, watching the business with the Ottawa blockade, and then it got into, freaking 2 weeks or whatever, or longer. What did they go, like 3.5 before they cracked down on them? Cannot go every single day just being like, oh, what's give you, find out, scroll. You have to focus on what is around you. Your immediate surroundings is what is real. And I'm not saying that things outside of it don't exist, but if it is not literally impacting your physical proximity, it can wait. That is the difference between here and there in any given situation, is that here is where you are and there is where something else is. And unless there and here are physically in proximity, close enough, that anything is affecting you directly or that anything whatsoever from over there affects you here directly, any circumstance other than that, you are just using your imagination. You are, in a sense, hallucinating. Although a lot of people are going, oh, no, only messed up people hallucinate. I don't. When you daydream, that's a hallucination. When you read a book and you have a visualization, you lose yourself in the scene. That's a hallucination. When you think back in your memory to this video of me saying these things and you think about me saying something instead of a video of me saying something, you see how I framed it? That's a hallucination. Rob said, no, the video of Rob that you saw said, you weren't here for this. I am saying this to an empty room except for the cats and this camera. Here, not there. See? So what you think and what your mind organizes as reality, or what is or is not going on, is very curated by yourself, and you don't even seem to realize it most of the time. Most of us don't. That's the way it's meant to work. Seamless extrapolation of reality into an interpretation that can be dealt with and coped with, because reality contains a lot more stimulation than you realize. Putin is making moves for his country that are good for his country, and I cannot fault him for that. The situation in Ukraine is really terrible for the people of Ukraine. I feel horrible for those people. There's nothing I can do. They are better armed than we are. You know what, guys? They gave you those guns. Turn them on your government. Build a new one. Build a better one that doesn't include blackjack and hookers as its primary governance method, because that's kind of what Ukraine's been. Putin's probably going to get the western part over the river that he's looking for. He kind of wants Kiev. People are saying, well, ignore the hundreds of years history, thousands of years history. Look at the more recent history. At the same time, I wish they would apply the same logic to the whole Israel and Palestine thing. So, Ukraine as we know it is no more. On a logical basis, I'm not saying this because governments have announced anything. It's been like a week. It's been just a smidge over a week, and the Ukrainian government, I believe, is still technically operational. I don't know. I know that before the Soviet Union, Kiev was the capital of Russia. So imagine if after a totalitarian takeover and then balkanization of the remains and then a new country, that the nation's original capital and an area around it becomes its own independent country. Would not the people of the rest of the country, including the ruler of that country, the president or whatever, wouldn't they want to get like their historical capital back? I mean, on top of the natural resources opportunities that Russia has in the region to enrich itself. And Russia is not the richest country in the neighborhood. So, for one of the most shrewd leaders I've ever seen, just a fact, the guy is formidable as a leader, as a world leader. Putin is a beast. I would not want to play poker against, I would not want to play checkers against the guy. He would trounce me at anything. Guaranteed, smart guy. Doing what is best for his country, which is like the 9th largest economy in the world or something. It's the same size economy as California is in our country by comparison. And California makes a lot of money, but it ain't the whole country. So him making moves for his country and his people, which will de facto benefit him financially. He's already probably the richest man in the world. And that's a whole other story how he acquired that. It's not the same as a lot of other people, but I don't know if it's okay either. He's making power moves. He's probably going to get the western half from the river over. I'm not going to back neo-Nazis. I don't care if they're our neo-Nazis. They don't get backing. That's not okay. And the fact that the Ukrainian government knew about this shit and allowed it to go on, okay, buddy. And at the same time, there were apparently people coming in from other places to train with those guys for their ideology and then go back home. That's not okay. And our taxpayer dollars, as well as money that our income tax goes toward paying back the interest on the debt for, with the trade deficits and whatever, and other countries buying debt, including China. China owns a ton of our debt. I don't owe anything, right? But as a country, each of us individually has a portion that we are supposed to contribute or whatever, and that is taxes, that is income tax or whatever, things like that, that pay toward the interest on the loans against this debt. It's a bogus system. It's messed up, but it's what they're doing, and it's what they're charging us, and it's what their monopoly on violence and ability to effectively censure us by cutting off our financial access to anything or our freedom in the literal sense if we don't pay it. Putin's making moves for Russia. We are making moves for America, as it should be. The problem is where a Putin move over there for Russia doesn't necessarily have to affect us, except that there are proxy wars going on. And Ukraine is kind of one of those proxy wars. Now it's spilled over into the other side that we were proxy warring. And when I say we, I mean the government, because people have nothing to do with this. The United States government proxy warring through Ukraine has lost ground. Russia has gained ground through separatists that wanted to rejoin Russia. I don't know to what extent propaganda from Russia was used to make those people want that. It's just a possibility that exists, but there's no hard data for me. I don't know about these bombings. I don't know about tanks and people and whatever. Much of the footage of previous atrocities was previous. This is old footage being presented as current. And because of that, you can't trust anything. So, like I said, nothing is real. I know the geopolitics of the area a bit, just a little. And I know that the people of Ukraine are the biggest victims here because they have a bad choice. They can either try and stick with and support the corrupt government that's been laundering money for Western countries and shady deals and all kinds of stuff, really corrupt government, or live under Russia. And Russian rule is not like that terrible that I can tell. They're still a fairly free country. The thing is that it's kind of makes you wonder why their president's been in office for so long, kind of thing. And some of the rules are very, I don't know, it's like if you had a country that really was run by a president who had some weird-ass churchy Bible version of Christianity that he wanted to push on people, and that's what the law is. Public displays of gayness or whatever are some kind of a misdemeanor, and I think there might be a little bit of anti-Semitic sentiment in some of the laws. Is he Hitler? Hell no. So that's what I see going on. And I won't say anything of an opinion beyond that. You can extrapolate for yourself what that means. And like I said, I feel really bad for the people of Ukraine who are, especially the ones to the west of the river, because I don't even know the river's name, but I know that there's a major river, that river is the dividing line. Putin needs and wants that other section. He's got a chunk of Russia that was isolated on the Baltic Sea, I believe, and now he's going to have inroads with Belarus's help directly to Russia. Everyone involved in that is going to prosper, and we are the people fighting against that prosperity for whatever other sake. When I say we, I mean the United States government, and you know how that works. Whether that's us or not, our government's priority is against those people's prosperity because they're concerned that it affects our prosperity. And this is kind of true. However, this is like the other side scores a fair point. You can't do anything to stop it. You can either foul them or you can just scream and complain, which gets you ejected from the game or a possible disqualification anyway. Salty, bad sport, sour grapes kind of thing. That's what the corporate neoliberal mainstream establishment political machine, military industrial complex, inverted totalitarian oligarchy wants, is to fight against that prosperity because they're concerned about supposedly about the American prosperity, but the thing with Russia is like the first step of a trap, of a multi-step trap, and Russia's not the only player. And nobody's friends with anybody, and it's this really weird situation, but it's going to be a bizarro three-way. And if you've ever seen how they work out the three-body problem, inevitably the first thing that happens is one of the other three bodies gets flicked out of the system. So think of it that way. Whatever's going on between Russia and Ukraine, there is at this time no fly zone. No countries are enforcing it. No countries are going to enforce it. At least nobody in their right mind. I don't even think Biden's that dumb. Nobody wants a war with Russia. Nobody wants to directly do anything with Russia. So Russia's making this move knowing that everybody is that way. They are basically doing what we used to do as a military power of the United States. And when people say, when you hear someone say, we don't have the moral high ground to talk about someone else's whatever, it's because we've done other stuff. We helped take out the government of Ukraine, which was pro-Russia, and install one that was anti-Russia, which is the one that Russia is now playing around with like a cat and a mouse in Ukraine. My understanding is that the soldiers that were sent into Ukraine from Russia were like a bunch of newbies with not the newest, greatest technical advancement. So even there, they did not expect it to be anything too terribly difficult. Russia taking that angle and knowing kind of where they're coming from, it makes me really hesitant to believe anything coming out of our media. But I don't believe anything coming out of their media either. That's why I say nothing is real at this time. Yes, there is a conflict in Ukraine. No, none of the footage you ever will find or see. Oh, no, well, no, but this one, no. No. Nothing is real. Their internet's been cut off over there. Russia's internet's been cut off. It's an information war as well. And not having that kind of information means that there's only certain people are going to be able to access. So like their official government people have got a phone that'll connect to do their official Ukrainian Facebook or Twitter. Even they have posted fake things. Video game footage marketed as real combat footage. And people were falling for it. So what I'm saying is nothing is real. There are no images and no video from what is going on that can be verified. Therefore, there is nothing trustworthy about that situation in the news. As such, logically, you cannot allow yourself to believe any narrative because there is no proof. You might as well be told fairy tales, Christmas tales of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer pulling a sleigh through the fog. So, that's all I got. When I said stay frosty, I meant stay frosty.